Maybe. Okay, cool. Hi, welcome to Jerri Berry's Friend-Tastic Library, the podcast where I interview everyday average people about their fantastic lives. Instead of going to your standard libraries to check out books, you can come to the Friend-Tastic Library and check out people. Today we're interviewing Seth. He's my ex-boyfriend. He's 32 years old now, and he's going to talk to us today about the cannabis industry or just cannabis in general. So, yeah. How are you today, Seth?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm here. It's a lot later there for you than it is for me, but yeah.
Yeah. Time difference, but
yeah.
We'll make
so
it work.
you're still in like the Pittsburgh area, right?
Yeah. Still living in Pittsburgh.
Cool. Are you in the same neighborhood we grew up in, or did you move somewhere else?
No, so I actually moved like closer to the city of Pittsburgh, but my parents and my brother still live, around that area. So
very cool. So before we get into your story with cannabis, I like to talk about the magical way people meet. So for everybody listening to my sister's podcast on episode 1, that one was cool. I asked my brother Randy how we met, and it was cool because I was a baby, so he just saw a baby come home. But since we're exes, ours will be very interesting. And I would love to, my memory is shit these days because I drink too much. And I had too much trauma in my childhood from what my therapist says. So I want to hear how you remember us meeting, and then we'll compare stories.
all right. So I think if my memory serves me right, and I have a pretty good memory, but I do remember we rode the same bus to school together.
I forgot about that. Yep.
But I think where we met was in environmental science class, which was weird because I think I was a senior at the time and you might have been like a sophomore and you were like in this senior class with other seniors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much how I remember. I can't pinpoint like when exactly we started dating,
No,
but
I don't have exact dates. But yeah, I definitely remember environmental science. I don't remember the bus at all. I completely forgot that was a thing. I almost forgot that I rode a school bus to school every day. Yeah, and I was definitely in 10th grade because I had to switch schools at the end of 9th grade because my house burned down. And whenever I switched schools for like a couple months and came back to Elizabeth, they didn't have like the classes that South Allegheny had. So yeah, I got stuck in a senior class, but whatever, it worked out.
Yeah.
So well, that's cool. But I do know that we didn't start dating until like it was much later because it was like after the Halloween dance. I heard you were dating my friend. Actually, I remember this now. You were dating that Ashley chick.
Oh yeah. Now I remember that.
I don't even remember that person's last name, but yeah, that was the thing. Okay, cool. High school is such a blur for me. Did you enjoy high school?
Yeah.
Like, do you miss it?
So I did enjoy high school. Like, I don't feel like I was like bullied or anything, like I was kind of like, I feel like I wasn't like a popular kid, but I was like cool with everybody,
I was just gonna say you were like a cool kid. Everybody loved you.
Right. Yeah. So I definitely like the older and older I get, I miss like, when we were in either elementary school or high school or whatever, like your only responsibility really was to go to school, right? Like as long as you went to the school, like you were living a good life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody questioned you, nobody asked anything, it's just like, all right, they're going to school. So
yeah, you're a stand-up citizen if you can make it through like public school at the time.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I missed that part of it, but I hated high school. I hated the school we went to. I don't think I liked many of the people I went to school with. Actually, besides you, I only stay in touch with one other person. Well, I have like friends on Facebook, but a person that I like stay in contact with and we talk semi regularly is just the one person I've known since like 4th grade. But everybody else from high school, I'm like, nope. And I recently became friends with a couple of them on Facebook, but that was like very recently because like during the pandemic, multi-level marketing schemes came about, like made it really popular. And I'm all for those, like what capitalism's a pyramid scheme. So I just support people that do them. But yeah, that's how I got to know some, reconnect with some of those people, I guess. But yeah. Anywho, what's up with the weed industry in Pennsylvania? Because I know what it's like here in California, but I assume it's very, very different in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, from what I hear, California is like the Wild West, you know. But
Yeah, kind of.
but yeah, so right now marijuana is legal in Pennsylvania, but only medically. So
Okay.
you have to get a medical marijuana card. You go to a physician, they diagnose you, and say whether or not you're eligible. And then it's a pretty pain-free process, from there. But I feel like recreational is coming soon, but
I think it is too. I think that I keep hearing about like the federal government going over it, but they never actually pass anything. Is it are weed doctors readily available in Pennsylvania, or is it hard to come by?
so I would say it's pretty easy. Like, so there's a couple like facilities, like it's called like compassionate care clinics that you
Yep.
can just go to, and they'll like certify you, get your card and stuff.
Yep.
And then the dispensaries too are pretty straightforward. Online orders, stuff like that. Just kind of go in. I got my card probably about, I'd say about a year and a half ago. I got my medical card.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I never had a medical card. Whenever I got to California, it was still not recreationally legal back in 2014. And then I remember it became recreationally legal in like 2017 or 2018, maybe. But I never had a medical card. I had friends that worked for dispensaries and they would just like get me stuff. Um, but here you could video call with a doctor here and they would give you a medical card. We still have like medical cards here that we give out because you can carry a lot more at once, you can travel with it, that kind of stuff. So there's definitely still people that get like their medical card, but are there a lot of dispensaries there, or is it like pretty sparse still? Like, do you have to drive a while to get to one?
No, they're pretty well placed. Like, I mean, I would say like in the Pittsburgh area, there's probably like 8 dispensaries,
Oh, that's pretty
within
good.
like a 10-mile radius of Pittsburgh.
That's more than I thought they would have.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like, so when I got my card, it seemed like there were only like a couple places to go, but it seems like over the past couple years, a lot more places have opened up. So, and I think part of that's like the legislation, right? I think at first they said, oh, you can only open up so many dispensaries, and
Mhm.
then they were like, hey, this is good, like let's open up more dispensaries, or the dispensaries they had couldn't keep up, with the
Yeah,
volume.
I think
So,
the same happened here whenever it started recreationally. There was still a lot while it was just medically legal, but um once it became recreationally legal, it was like they're popping up like Starbucks, like they're just everywhere around here, like on every corner. But yeah, the first year it was kind of slow because I think they all had to like get their sea legs with the taxing and how they're taxing it all and what they can afford and what they can't afford and all that stuff. So um what else? Oh, did you go to college to work in the weed industry or no?
no. So I went to college for like turf grass management.
Okay,
So pretty much golf course maintenance.
cool.
But so kind of same thing, you know what I mean? Like plant science and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
So do you officially have a college degree?
no, I do not officially have my college degree.
Okay.
So
I
I
just didn't
like,
know if you finished or not.
yeah, no, bounce back and forth, from college to college, and
Finishing college is rough. I don't recommend it.
yeah.
I mean, I guess it got me a good job, so I should recommend it, but it's fine. Um, so I don't know if like I don't want you to ever get arrested because I don't know the laws in Pennsylvania, but do you know how to like grow marijuana then? Like, could you
Uh,
yourself have a seed and grow a marijuana plant?
I don't think so. I
I
mean,
can't grow plants. Like I try and I
yeah, and
can't.
I think like marijuana plants are like so temperamental, you know. So like, you have all these different like controls and stuff like that, like humidity and
Yeah,
and
and
uh
somebody told me you can't leave like female plants next to male plants because then they won't become like smokable weed. And I was like, how the fuck do you tell the gender of the weed plant? Like, what is this?
yeah, yeah,
It just sounds like too much to me. So I always
right.
buy it. But I know a ton of people here that grow their own, but I just didn't know if you had that capability.
Yeah, no, like I don't think I could do it, but my uncle was telling me, he's from California, and he said that his neighbor grows like 4 or 5 plants, and he said they're like 6 foot tall, like
They
these
get
huge,
huge. Yeah, they become like huge bushes if you let them grow.
plants. Yeah, so
That's crazy. I'm trying to think of the other questions I had for you because I have so many about the I love the weed industry. Well, this is an easy one. What's your favorite way to ingest it? Right? Because now it's like the possibilities are endless.
so I would say, yeah, so that's definitely an advantage of having, the medical card, is being able to like buy, they have tinctures, and they
Mm-hmm.
have um like vape pens.
Yep.
I think I like the vape pen. It's kind of discreet. You kind of can control like how much or how little you want. But yeah, like the tinctures are nice too, edibles. So I'll tell a story. This story is why I got my medical marijuana card. So
I love stories.
like when I was younger, like I wasn't really much into marijuana in high school. Like we never smoked marijuana in high school, right?
Well, we're I know like my perspective from where we grew up was you only smoked marijuana if you were like a bad person.
Right,
You
right.
might as
Yeah,
well
it
just
was
sell
like
heroin because
the
that's just
river
how they see it.
rats. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who smokes
Yeah.
marijuana. Um,
Anyways.
so anyway, so I was cutting a friend's grass as a favor, and she would give me like joints as payment, which I was like, all right, this is cool. So I would actually like break them up, roll them with cigarettes, and then like smoke like half of it. And like
Hmm.
at first, like I hated the taste, I hated the smell, you know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe it was just the stuff that I was getting. So I kind of got back into smoking that way. And then a couple weeks after that, she had a party, and I was like going through a breakup, and I'm like, yeah, I'll party. And she gave me this edible, and she took like, I swear this thing was like 1,000 milligrams or something like that, right? Which probably isn't possible, right? Because I probably would have died if it was like 1,000 milligrams. But she took this little bite off of it and then goes, "Here, eat the rest of it."
Oh
And I
no.
was fucked up. Like
Oh
I
my
was
god.
like time didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like there was this kid sitting across from me, and in my head I was like, "Why is this kid hitting on me? Like I don't even know this kid." You know what I mean? Like, and it was just like a bad experience, which like looking back now, like now that I've been smoking for a while, a year and a half since then, like if I would have taken that now, I probably would have loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would have been like, oh,
Yeah.
this is awesome, amazing, and enjoy the ride. So anyway, long story short, I ended up like I think I like threw up in the bushes somewhere and just like passed out, which I was like, that's what I need to do right now. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so after that, I was like, yeah, maybe it's a good idea to get my card. That way, like I can dose stuff correctly. You know what I mean? And I'm not like tripping balls again. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep. I love
So
edible stories. I love them so much. I think they're
yeah.
the best kind of stories, but they're really scary to people at the time. Um, yeah, but no, I think you said that you didn't like the smell or the taste. I was the same way. Whenever I grew up like in Pittsburgh, I was like, ew, marijuana smells disgusting. And then even whenever I got here, I was smoking cigarettes and everyone here was smoking weed. And they were like judging me for smoking cigarettes and I was judging them for smoking weed. And then I shifted and I quit smoking cigarettes and I started smoking weed. So I like joined the
Now you're
dark
the
side.
person judging the cigarette smokers. Like,
I try not to. I kind of miss it. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish you would quit just because I know it's bad for you. But yeah, I think smoking anything is bad for you. Like
right.
I think even smoking weed can be bad after a while if you're like smoking it like a joint or whatever. But I actually don't like tobacco and weed mixed. I've tried that before and it made me cough really 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 bad. But I have so many edible stories, but I know one of the early ones, I somebody bought a Rice Krispie treat from a dispensary, and the whole Rice Krispie treat is like this big, and it's like 500 milligrams. And so me and two other friends just took like a little corner off of it, like this big, and we ate it. And then we were all three of us were like laying in my friend's bed and she put on Pineapple Express, which I had never seen before, but we were high and that's a movie about being high. So it seemed funny. And I just remember like laying there, like and my head was vibrating. I was convinced that it was just like, wah, and like I couldn't hear anything that was happening on the TV. Yeah, it was bad. And then but now that I look back, it was kind of fun. So then I go on these weed retreats with these women, and we go camping in the woods and shit. And the one lady that goes makes edibles. She makes her own edibles, and they're all 30 milligrams. And so the one time I was just popping those, we were up in Oregon camping, and we all brought pool floaties because they have a big lake up there. So I bring a pool floaty that looks like an avocado, and where the nut of the avocado would be like a circle for your like butt, or for you to like come through it. Anyways, but I bring that on land, and I'm laying on it on land, and I'm wearing this hoodie because this is my weed hoodie. And I'm taking all these like 30 milligram edibles. And then they called me the avocado time traveler because I would take an edible and I would like pass out on the floaty and wake up like 10 minutes later and be like, what year is it? Like, do we eat dinner yet? And they're like, no, Jerri, shut the fuck up. Like, it's only been 10 minutes. You're interrupting our stuff. Like, they're trying to meditate and whatnot. So yeah, I think like that stuff's fun. I did that recently at the Ren Fair. We went to the Renaissance Festival this year, and one of my friends met me, and we split like a 30 milligram edible. So that was fun. But I can't do edibles in real life. Like I can't take an edible and then like be a mom or go to work.
Right. Yeah.
It's a vacation.
Right. You have to like plan that out.
Yeah, exactly. And I've heard that some people that do like psilocybin or magic mushrooms say that if you do a high enough dosage of edibles, sometimes it can be a similar experience, but I don't know because I've never done mushrooms. But it's starting to get legal here. I think like there's a certain city in California that legalized mushrooms. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I like vaping. So because it doesn't smell, so you can do it anywhere. It's easy to carry with you. Like you don't have like flour, you don't have to grind anything, you don't have to roll anything. So I always just like the vape pens. That's what I've liked since the beginning. But do you think that because I don't really know what, I guess I don't really know you that well, first of all. Second of all, now, because we dated 14 years ago.
Right.
But
we've changed in 14 years.
I for sure have changed.
Hope,
like
yeah.
Full 360, I changed. So anyway, since I don't know you that well, it's like a two-part question. Do you like suffer from a mental illness of some sort in some way? And does weed help you?
So the first one I would say, yeah, like I feel like I deal with, depression, anxiety, you know what I mean? I feel like in today's world, everybody's dealing with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I really do think like after getting my medical card, like my life is 100% better. Like I feel like, I don't know. I think what it is it's kind of like I heard a comedian say once that like there's a chemical in marijuana and it's not THC, it's called fuckatol, right? You smoke a little bit of weed and you're like, you know what? Fuckatol, like,
I love that. It's true.
And yeah, and I think it is true. Like, well, maybe not the chemical actually being in there, right?
Yeah.
Things that like you're like, I used to get upset about, and like now I'm like, what? Like, why am I worrying about that? Or like you're in a stressful situation, and before I might like stress myself out, and it's like, well, stressing myself out isn't helping the situation. Like, let's try to like think more clearly. You know what I mean? Which is crazy because people are like, oh, when you smoke, you're not thinking clearly. But I think my clearest. You know what I mean? When I'm high.
Yeah, I agree. I have yeah, it's like I guess it's more complicated for me, but you do sound more mellow. But again, this was like the last time I talked to you, you must have been like 12 years ago. If we started dating 14 years ago, then the last time I talked to you on a regular basis was 12 years ago. Right. And we were like high strung teenagers. So we were just angry to be angry. So, but, so I guess that's good that because you do sound better. But for me, I do think more clearly because my inner voice is very loud. So like that shuts off whenever I smoke weed. But at the same time, like I can't focus as much on like math stuff at work while I'm high. So I can't really like be high at work. It's kind of like a weekend deal or like a vacation deal or something like that. Sometimes at night to help me sleep. Like it helped me sleep a lot whenever I first started smoking. Because again, I can't turn my like brain off at night. So like you said, you just like you're like fuck it all. And I feel like after I started smoking, similar to what you were saying about stressing about stuff, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to put my energy towards this. Like, and that's what weed helps me with is like whenever since I've started using weed like more regularly, if something comes up that normally I would get angry about or react to, I'm like, I don't have energy to put towards that.
Right.
my,
Yeah.
my energy is limited and I can't put it towards your crap right now.
Yeah. And
But I think kids also helped that. So
yeah.
you have to like worry about keeping humans alive, and I can't worry about like too much other stuff. But so I know that you said that you can't like go into too much detail, but can you say anything at all about what you do in the cannabis industry?
Um, so so I work for a grower and processor,
Okay.
kind of like managing the plants, sort
Okay.
of. So
I I was mainly asking because I work in the ag industry, so I work with like vegetables, and I know what like some of our guys in the field do. So I guess like, is it normal standard ag stuff? Like, do you have irrigation to worry about? Do you have like pesticides and herbicides to worry about? Any of that stuff?
yeah, so I would say like, kind of comparing it to the golf course industry, it's a lot of the same, irrigation, pest, like part of the issue that we kind of run into is that a lot of the stuff that we do is regulated by the state, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
medical,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that the state says you can't do. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the stuff that we use is actually all natural, which I think is good to begin with, right? If you
Yeah.
can use all natural, then, that's
Yep.
great. But yeah, I mean, I'd say it's agriculture. It's a form of agriculture, you know what I mean? And I think, in the future, it's going to be a huge part of agriculture, And I always thought, like, so when I worked at the golf course, they always said that our technology came from the agriculture company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they would have all this technology and then it would trickle its way down to us, you know what I mean? Because we're not
Yeah.
spending billions of dollars like a farm is, they'll
Yeah.
buy big equipment. So yeah, so I think it's, as things kind of trickle down. And I mean, of course, out in California, I'm sure the grow facilities are a lot more technologically advanced than they are here in Pennsylvania. Um, so yeah, I think.
I don't know what the grow facilities are like. I know a lot of people that work as bud tenders at dispensaries, but I've never really talked to anybody in depth about working like on the growing side. I do know that it is still like such a gray area here and so sketchy here because it's not federally backed, which means they can't have banks. So I don't know if it's that way there, but they have to do everything in cash. Because no bank will insure like a weed dispensary. So since
Yeah.
there's a lot of cash only going around, there's a lot of like sorry, if you can hear all the dogs outside, we have a lot of dogs. Um but there's a lot of hijacking that goes on with the armored trucks that are full of cash, that kind of stuff. Um yeah, it's just very it's all very sketch, and that's why whenever I was in college I wanted to get into the marijuana industry, and then I heard how like not secure your job is in it. So I
Yeah.
didn't go that route. Because the other thing too is like around here, I had a friend that worked at a dispensary here, and then it was like a different company bought out that store. So a whole new company was coming in and they just wiped the floor. Like everyone got fired and a whole new staff
Really?
came in. So it's like that person has devoted, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, if not more, to that company. And then they just get wiped once another company came and like bought them out.
Yeah.
So it sucks big time, but I'm hoping it gets better. If they federally legalize it, I think it'll get rid of a lot of those issues. But I guess we get what we get for now. So
Yeah. I heard though that like in Denver too, like, they're like finishing road projects that they had planned like 10 years in advance because like they have so much money that they don't even know what to do with it, so
yeah, they tax people a fuck ton here.
yeah.
I know Oregon has no sales tax, so every time we go to Oregon, they always tell us to like buy hello weed there because there's no sales tax there.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I was gonna ask you because you mentioned working for a golf course, but I was gonna tell you that I remember I was talking to Michelle about this, and I remember working at Best Buy and you worked at Circuit City, and now
Oh
Circuit City
yeah.
doesn't exist, and I always think that's really funny that I lived to see like a business like fall.
So what's funny is like the younger kids that I work with, I'm like, yeah, I used to work at Circuit City, and they're like, what? What's
Yeah.
Circuit City? And I'm like, am I that old that kids don't know a company I worked for?
Yeah. And I have like nightmares about Circuit City, but I mean about Best Buy. But is this job that you currently have like your favorite job? Do you think it's like career status?
Yeah, I think it's probably my favorite. Definitely career status.
That's
Like so
cool.
for me, like the big part of it is like I benefited so much from medical cannabis that like I feel like I'm helping other people get their medicine. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like this higher purpose, which at the golf course it was like, oh, these rich assholes are pissed off that their grass looks bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was like it's so
Yeah.
unrewarding, you know what I mean? So yes, I definitely feel like it's rewarding and
That's
uh
good.
yeah.
I was gonna say something else too, because we were talking about circuit. Oh, you were talking about feeling old. And do you do TikTok?
Not really. Like I
Okay.
watch videos, but that's about it.
I don't do TikTok. I'm huge on it. Like I love Instagram. I like live on Instagram. I recently discovered what Instagram stories were a couple months ago and I just can't stop. Um Facebook is like whatever. If I just want to shit post, I'll go on Facebook. Um or just read other people shit posting, I go on Facebook. But my husband is obsessed with TikTok and he sends me TikToks all the time. And he saw a TikTok the other day that was like that was like a video of kids talking about the late 1900s, which is what we would call the 90s.
Yeah.
And then a guy is like listening to this kid called the 1990s, the late 1900s, and he's like, fuck these kids, dude. Fuck these kids. But I was like, shit, they're not wrong, but it sounds really bad to say the late 90s, like I was born in the late 1900s.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's dumb. I don't like it. But yeah, do you use social media at all? Like I think
Uh
technically we're friends on Facebook, but you're never on there. So do you just like not social media?
yeah, I don't really do Facebook. Instagram, I feel like I am like somewhat addicted to Instagram. So
I think
like I
it's more
definitely
positive.
yeah, so like I definitely think like social media is ruining the world. Like it's making it a worse place.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like Instagram, it's kind of like there's just pictures, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how political can pictures get? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? How aggressive can pictures get? And it's kind of like I don't know, I feel like Instagram you can kind of like choose what you see a little bit more, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
same. I also really like following celebrities on Instagram. I don't know why. I'm just obsessed with them like posting stories of their normal lives.
Yeah.
So I follow like Justin Bieber because I've been a Justin Bieber fan forever. Leonardo DiCaprio only posts stuff about the environment on
Oh,
Instagram.
really?
Exclusively only stuff about the environment on Instagram. Nothing else. Not his mom, not his girlfriends, like nothing else but the environment or some other like political activism. That's all he does on there. And I love that about him.
Yeah.
So that's what I do on social media all day long.
See, I feel like Instagram too, like people, you know, like just known through life, like either high school or work people, like Instagram gives you just enough of their life, right? Because people are only posting like big events
The
on
best.
Instagram,
Yeah.
right? So you're like, all right,
Yeah.
cool, this person got married or this person got engaged. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to know their day-to-day life, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I think Facebook has turned into just shit posting. People just like post angry stuff or like clickbait stuff. And sometimes I think that's fun. It's like reality television. But
Right, yeah.
most of the time, like I go to Instagram now for sure. I remember the days of MySpace. I wouldn't be able to log into any of my MySpace accounts, but I remember the days of MySpace.
I do remember MySpace, yeah.
Like
I don't
I remember that we were friends on MySpace, but we had broken up before either of us had a Facebook. So we were never Facebook friends. We have no Facebook memories of our relationship, which I low key kind of like because
Yeah, you're
every
like it
person
never
after you
happened.
comes up on my Instagram, not my Instagram, my Facebook memories, and it's not a good time.
Well, so I remember on MySpace, I think I actually so remember the band Owl City?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So like I
I
used
still
to like
actively follow that person. Yeah.
yeah, I used to send messages to him on like
Hmm.
MySpace before he was like big, like super
I
nice dude,
I
like
bought a T-shirt from his MySpace.
yeah. I think I have a t-shirt, an Owl City t-shirt.
Yeah,
You probably bought it for me.
you were the person. Like I feel like we discovered them together, or you discovered him first, or either way. But that was whenever I found that band, and I still listen to them every day. Not every day, but regularly.
Yeah, yeah.
I got to see him in person at the in person. I got to see him live at the Altar Bar before it closed.
Oh
I
yeah.
must have been like it must have been like 10 years ago. I think I was like 20.
Huh.
But yeah, Michelle came with me to see him.
Nice.
But yeah, do you still listen to that type of music, or
Yeah. Yeah, definitely still listen to that, but like I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of like reggae, like Bob Marley, you know what I mean? But
so cliche weed music?
right, which I actually used to listen to before, so I should have just
Yeah,
known, that I should start smoking
yeah.
weed, but
So, how did you? I call it the canna closet. How did you? I'm not good at staying in closets about anything. I'm a big oversharer. So, did you have to come out of the canna closet at some point? And if so, like, how was the response from friends and family?
so yeah, so whenever I got my card, I kind of like, you know, was telling my family like almost more jokingly, you know what I mean? Because like I was kind of like, oh, I got my medical card, oh sweet, But so whenever I got my medical card, I was going through like a breakup at the time, and I remember I got my medical card and I told my mom about it, and she was like, Seth, I'm just, like moms do worry about their kids.
Yeah,
She's like, I'm just worried that you're gonna be in your apartment getting high, all the time by yourself. And I was
you're gonna
like,
be that guy from the commercials that's a part of the couch, the old like
right,
the
yeah,
old yeah the old commercials.
yeah, you can't move, man.
Yeah,
But I was like, Mom, as much as I appreciate it, I was like, how was that any worse than being drunk in the house by myself? You know what I mean?
for sure.
And in
Yep,
my opinion, being stoned by myself was better than being drunk by myself,
yep,
because getting out of a bad relationship, like getting drunk, like I totally would have been like, hey, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Like
yep,
that drunk text, because like you're not
yep.
thinking, whereas like, I mean, I think, having my medical card got me through that breakup, easier
That's
than any
cool.
other breakup that I ever had, because I was just like, I'd get stoned, watch some South Park or something, and just go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I still drink now and again, but I had like a severe alcohol problem from 18 to 21, which I think is kind of normal for the majority of 18 to 21-year-olds, is to just drink a lot.
Mhm.
But it was like borderline a problem. And then I revisited alcohol like as my first kid got older. I had more friends and I was going out more, and I feel like I was drinking way too much and way more than I should. And then yeah, I found weed. So now I'll enjoy a drink every once in a while, but it's not like in excess. I would drink in excess every night until I'm like I don't remember what happened the night before. I
Yeah.
functioned really well because I've done it for so long. So I wouldn't be like a super sloppy drunk person that people had to babysit, but it wasn't enjoyable. So we
I'm
like
sure the mornings after too, waking
yeah,
up
it's all bad.
hungover all the
It's
time.
all bad. Like you never feel bad for weed at all. Like at least I never have.
Right.
I've never woken up and been like, man, I wish I wouldn't have smoked weed last night.
Right. Oh,
Like
I
that's
smoke
never
too much.
that's
Like,
never been a thing. Never
right.
ever been a thing. Do you know about like I'm assuming since you have a medical card, then you know about like strains, right? So do you do like indica, sativa, a bit of both, or
Uh,
do you
so I
not know?
tried
Do
to,
you not care?
yeah, so I try to stay away from like, oh, I definitely know. Like, I kind of feel like a beer snob, but like for
With weed? Yeah.
marijuana. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know, maybe I'm a hipster, but I'm like, oh, I like this strain or that strain or
Yeah.
like, whatnot. But yeah, I typically try to stay with like hybrids and then like usually indicas at night, to try to keep me to sleep. Like with my anxiety, like if I smoke a super like sativa, like
Hmm.
super high sativa, then I'll just get like, oh geez,
Yeah.
so
So I thought that with like my anxiety issues, I would not like sativas, but indicas get me like really I don't even know how to describe it, but with indicas, it's like night time. And if I don't go to night, then it's going to get really silly really fast and I won't remember what I did, even though I'm not that high.
yeah.
And it just turns into like this weird, I don't like it, this weird place that I don't like. So I definitely do hybrids or sativa dominant hybrids, but I do like sativas more. But I think at heart, I'm still a party girl, even though I don't drink as much as I used to and I don't like really party. So I
Yeah.
think that's why I like sativas.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask, whenever you were mentioning like the anxiety from sativas, do you ever get like the spinnies, or like I don't know, like I just feel sometimes if I do get too high and then I try to sleep it off and I go lay down, I'm like, oh, it feels like
Yeah.
the room is moving.
Or like your head is moving, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was normal or if that was just a me thing.
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely gotten that before, but I mean, I think though,
But
like that's
unfortunately, like with alcohol, if you lay down and you get the alcohol spinnies, you can usually like ground yourself on a wall.
right.
But with weed, I haven't found the trick yet.
No,
I
yeah,
just
you're
suffer
just
through it.
floating
I
away.
just suffer
Yeah,
through it. Yeah.
right. But I think like, that's another thing that helped me out too is being able to pick those strains, you know what I mean? Versus
Yeah.
like, like I've never bought weed off the street, so I'm a good
Yeah.
citizen. But it was nice, like, being new to it, coming into a dispensary and them saying like, oh, well, this will help you sleep, or this will
Yeah.
make you, give you energy and stuff like that, that, and like, you can log online and look at different strains and see like, read the descriptions and go, oh yeah, that sounds like a pretty good time. I'm going to try this out next time I'm at the dispensary.
Yeah, for sure. I
So,
was I keep on forgetting my questions as they come up. I keep having them and then I keep on forgetting them. But fuck, what was I gonna ask you? It was something about like the strains and stuff. I don't know. But now it's gonna bug me that I can't think of it. Either way. So I think, did I see you smoking as we before we recorded? Like, did you smoke before you started this?
yeah,
That's
on
cool.
my vape pen.
I think it's important for people to know that people are still normal while they're high. I know my mom
Yeah.
was really afraid of that. So my mom was really worried about me whenever I was smoking weed. She thought I would be a bad parent if I was smoking weed. But I think my mom didn't realize that it's the same as alcohol. You can have a drink of alcohol and not be like wasted. You can have a little bit of weed and not be like so high you can't function. And then the other thing too was like she grew up with parents that used weed, but she felt like they weren't really present whenever they were high. So that's what she was worried about with me. And then she realized, I was like, oh no, I smoked today and we're talking, like it's totally fine. So I think a lot of people don't realize that it's not like an instant like hit of a joint and you're on cloud nine. There's
Yeah.
like a spectrum, just like there is alcohol.
Yeah. Well,
And yeah, I do hate
what's
the judgment too, especially from moms, because there's always the cliche wine moms that like drink all day, but then they're like,
mm,
"Oh God, you smoke weed? Oh, you might as well just like shoot heroin and get your kids taken away. Your life's
right,
over."
legalize cocaine next. It's like,
Like,
well,
yeah,
wait a second, let's hold the horse.
yeah. So I think that's pretty crazy as well. But
But I think part of that though too is like, I mean, we could speak kids from the 90s, like there was the whole like war on drugs, you know what I
yeah, the
mean?
Dare
Like,
program.
right, yeah, like if you smoke marijuana, then you're gonna do heroin next, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
you
like,
will get chlamydia and die. Like,
exactly,
yeah,
yeah, so like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of funny, like, because like one thing that I do all the time with my girlfriend is like, we'll smoke and then we'll see like a celebrity on TV or something, and I'm like,
mm-hmm.
you think they smoke marijuana? And I'm like, I think they do. Like they get it. Like they're in. Like they know, Or like we'll watch like a
That's funny.
musician on YouTube or something, and I was like, you think they smoked marijuana? I bet you they smoked marijuana. And then she's just like, everybody, more people than you think smoke marijuana, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? And then
yeah,
she's like, especially if they're in like the entertainment industry or the music industry, so I guess like growing up I thought, oh, like only certain people smoke marijuana, but then you
yeah,
smoke and you realize a lot of people smoke,
yeah,
especially in today's world. I think
yeah.
it's definitely more open now than it was, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, right around like 2018-ish, 2019 maybe, I started to assume that everybody smoked weed until they told me they didn't, because that's just how it felt for me. And I remember being in college and I was in math club. I was the president of math club, so I was just like king of the nerds. And it was just a bunch of these other nerds getting together and we all just smoked hella weed and somehow managed to run math club and make decent money. Not like personal, like we don't make money as volunteering for math club, like the club made money. But yeah,
Yeah.
like And then that's whenever I learned, like, oh my God, all these fucking kids around me are high off their ass all day long, every day. I was like the only one not smoking weed until recently.
Right.
But you did mention a girlfriend, and I was wondering, this might be personal and you can pass if you don't want to answer it, but you know my dad, and he's very, very old school. So whenever I told, my dad is so interested in my podcast, which is weird because he's old and he's never into anything. He's just grumpy. And so I did the thing with Michelle. My littlest sister Alexis ended up listening to it. So then my dad found out about it. Then he calls me and he's mad because I didn't tell him I was doing a podcast. And I was like, Dad, you're old. I didn't think you'd like it. He's like, well, who else do you have going on there? So then I tell him the list. You come up and he's like, oh, okay. And then he was like, is your husband going to let you interview your ex-boyfriend? Right. So now I'm wondering, the long way of asking this is like, does your current girlfriend have an issue with this happening? Or is it just my dad being really old school?
Oh, no, she doesn't have an issue. So, like, you know, when you had asked me if I wanted to be on the show, I talked to her and I said, hey, like, you know, one of my exes is doing this podcast, but like we dated like a long time ago, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, she was pretty much like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like, I think you
Yeah.
should do it, you know?
Yeah. I think if there's like one specific person from my past that I was stuck on for a really long time that like my husband knows that that was like a thing. And I think if that person were to come to my actual garage and be on the podcast, he might question it. But for me to
Right.
like Zoom with somebody 3,000 miles away that I dated over a decade ago, he's like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's funny because my whole family knows you. So like my mom, because I live with my mom and my grandma right now. And I know you never, I don't think you ever met my mom. Did you ever meet my mom? Probably not.
I don't think so. But it
So
was like, so not in like a weird way, but like my mom's cousins were
yeah,
also like your mom's cousins. Like, not
yeah,
that we were cousins dating by any
correct,
standard.
correct. That's what we were just
Yeah,
talking about
like,
because
just to make it clear, yeah.
because we're sitting at the dinner table and they're like, oh, who are you gonna go record tonight? And I'm like, oh, Seth. And then my mom's like, Seth, last name Seth, and I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, so and so, grandma, like talking to my grandma, sure, and like because that's my last name. And then she was like, oh, I didn't, she was like, I forgot about that. Like, yeah. And then of course my husband and my mom's boyfriend are like, wait a minute, like you dated your cousin. And I was like, no, 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 it was all by marriage.
Yeah,
That's
no, no,
that.
no, no, wait, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, that's how it is around there. It was a very small town.
Yeah,
But yeah, so it was interesting that they were like discussing the family tree today before I came out here while we were talking over dinner.
that's
But
funny.
yeah. And yeah, so that's that. My pap still lives in Pittsburgh, and
Yeah.
Michelle still lives in Pittsburgh, but the rest of my family kind of migrated. None of us are really there anymore. So, but I was going to ask you, do you enjoy living in Pittsburgh still? Like, do you think you're just going to stay there forever?
So it just switched over to winter, so
Yeah.
it's bad time to ask. It's like 20 degrees outside right now.
Oof, that sucks.
Um,
I was getting warm
yeah.
in my garage, so I cracked the garage door. Like, that's how warm it is in California still.
We'll see. So last Wednesday was like 77, beautiful, you know, and then now it's like 20. But yeah, I
Gross.
mean, I do like Pittsburgh. Like, I feel like it's kind of big city feel on like a small city budget, sort of, you
That's
know.
a good
But
description.
I keep saying that I only have like 2 or 3 more winters in me, and I'm moving to like Hawaii or California or somewhere else.
I remember whenever I met you in high school and you said that you used to tell everybody you were from Hawaii because you're like darker than the average Pittsburgher and
Yeah, and
you wore Hawaiian shirts all the time.
I told him I had like a Hawaiian girlfriend who got
Yeah.
eaten by a shark. Her name was Panalalalalalala.
Do you still talk to people from high school? You
Not
don't have to
really.
name drop. I just wanted to know if you were like still friends with people from there.
Nah, just my brothers, you know. But I
Yeah.
don't think that counts. But
Did
yeah,
the
no.
How old is the youngest one? Because he was a lot younger, right?
Yeah, he's
Did he
20.
graduate?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's 27.
Oh shit, I'm really old. Okay, I thought he was
Yeah.
younger than that. I don't know why.
I think he's 27. I don't know.
Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. So I don't want to get like stuck on controversial subjects, but do you feel like your spiritual and or political climates changed whenever you found weed? Because Because I
Yeah,
know, like,
I
I
would.
know mine did drastically, so that's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, I think they did, like, not drastically. Like, I mean, I think generally, like, I've always kind of been like, whatever helps you sleep at night. You know what I mean? Believe what you want. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, I'm kind of the
Sort of
same way.
deal. Um, but yeah, I would say, like, after starting to smoke, like, spiritually, I felt like, I don't know, like, more connected to the world, to the earth
Yeah,
more so.
yeah,
And like the universe, and like,
yeah,
I mean, I've definitely always been into like space and stuff like that, but like
yeah,
researching space stoned is like a completely different world,
yeah.
like almost too scary sometimes. Like, I'm like,
I've gotten stuck
time
on many of
out.
like National Geographics while I was high, like watching
Yeah.
whales and shit. Do you get into astrology or no?
Not really. Like, I definitely think there's some weight behind it, but I don't know. I mean, I have friends that are like, "What's your moon sign?
Yeah,
What's your rising sign? What's your
yeah,
setting sign? What's your sighting moon?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a Scorpio. Like,
yeah. So I got really into astrology after I found weed. So I think I'm like a good middle of the ground where I'm not quite on the level where I ask strangers what time they were born,
yeah,
but I definitely enjoy it, and I look into more than just like sun signs. But yeah, I feel like I never had religion growing up except for whenever I was with you. And then at some point I became very feisty and passionate and angry about being anti-religion, and I hated anybody who liked religion, and it was a big problem. So I was like a very, very hardcore atheist that was just very, very mean. And then
mhm,
once I started smoking weed, like you were saying, I just felt like I was connected to the earth. So then I got like very spiritual. And then I was like, and then I got to the point where you were, I'm like, you believe what you want, kid. I don't care. Like, we
you're
all need
right,
something to get through life, you know? Like,
right, yeah.
who am I to tell you what to believe?
Just don't hurt anybody, don't kill
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
do what you want.
And it's the same with politics. I feel like I've been all over the spectrum before. And now I'm just like, you do you, boo. I just want people to go vote. That's how I feel about it. I
Right,
was like,
yeah.
you know what? It's just important to take advantage of that with whoever you vote for. I don't care.
And we're
Like,
screwed either way. Democrat,
exactly.
Republican, like, you're screwed.
Exactly.
Just
I feel myself saying the Abraham Lincoln quote a lot, where he's like, "Whatever you are, be a good one." That's how I feel in my
yeah.
head a lot. I'm like, you know what? I don't care, dude. Just be good, whatever you are. Like,
Right,
I don't
yeah.
care. But yeah, I was wondering about that because I know like how it was in high school, so that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I was born and raised Roman Catholic, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And like, I mean, I think like I still believe that
Hmm.
stuff, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, like, I think when you smoke, right, it's definitely a big like ego knockdown, right? Because I feel like whenever I started smoking, like you think that like we're kind of this big important thing, right? And then you realize that like the earth is so small in comparison to the entire universe that like,
Yeah.
you know,
I feel that.
we're this big, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that
Um,
for sure.
but yeah, I
My
mean,
my husband is well, he was raised Mexican Catholic. I don't think that he identifies that way anymore because we did not get married in a Catholic church.
yeah.
But it was kind of cool to get to so I living in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of like Roman Catholics or Italian Catholics or whatever you want to consider it.
Hmm.
um and then I got to California, and that was like the only part that wasn't culture shock. Was here it's a lot of Hispanics that believe in Catholicism. So it was like that was the only part that was like the same as home, was all of the people that are like identifying as Catholic. And I thought that was interesting, but at the same time there's like a lot of differences. They have different names for different people that I'd never even heard of, even though I had gone to Catholic church every Sunday for like 2 years. So
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I don't know. So I was just wondering about that without getting like too into the shit that would upset people.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, you know. Um yeah, I don't know. So you found weed like a year and a half ago. You said you had been through a bad breakup. So how long were you with the person before you broke up with them?
So
This
we
is
were
just purely out of
together.
out of curiosity. You don't have to answer any of these questions.
We were together for about 3 years,
Oh man. So have you only, again, these are just purely for curiosity now because I've had a few drinks. So have you only been like a long-term committed guy? Did you ever have you just gone like committed relationship, committed relationship, committed relationship?
Yeah, for the most part. Like, so there was a short period in my life where I went to Cal U, and
I heard that's a party school.
yeah, it was,
Yeah,
and
I
I
knew some
paid
Cal U
every
people.
penny for it, But but yeah, I mean, with the exception of that phase of my life, yeah, I've always been like committed kind of guy, Like I always feel like I love fully and just, put myself out there, which is fine,
That's cool.
I
Do you
think
know
so.
the sun sign of the person you're with right now?
I do not. I couldn't tell you.
That's funny. I was just wondering since we were talking about astrology. Yeah, I feel like after our relationship was the longest until I met my husband, because between you and my husband it was a lot of playing the field and like some semi committed things for like a couple months to a year, and then I moved to California and I met Chris, and then we've been together for like almost 8 years now. I had to see what month it was, so it'll be 8 years in February. So yeah, he's by far like the longest, but I was not down for commitment. I never thought I would be married with kids. Do you think you'll ever be married with kids, or is that like not the life for Seth?
Probably married. So my girlfriend right now, definitely, like, I feel like we're gonna get married, like
That's cute.
she gets me, I get her, like, soulmates, but, um, but
No,
yeah,
it's
so
cute. I love this stuff.
yeah, but I mean, I definitely think we'll get married, but as far as kids go, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the older and older I get, like, I'm just kind of like, number one, like, would I be a good parent, and then like number two, like, I feel like I do not envy people who have to raise kids in like today's society, right? Because like, I mean, the internet and everything, like, I mean, how do you
Yes.
keep things from your kids? Like, it's almost like parenting has changed, instead
Yeah,
of
it
keeping
has for
things, you have
sure.
to say, okay, like this is good and this is bad, you know what I mean? Just expose them to, or I would think so.
Yeah, I love my kids so very much, but I do not recommend children to people.
Yeah.
I love them so much. They're so wonderful, but they're the worst. So I don't recommend it. But I love my kids. I'm glad I'm a mom. I loved it so much the first time I had a second one. So but yeah, I it is interesting to raise kids nowadays. Everybody's just so much more woke, Like
Yeah.
even like I feel like I'm dreading conversations about sex and puberty simply because it's not that I'm against it. I totally want my kids to be educated because I wasn't, but it's like there's so many possibilities now. And whenever my stepmom had to teach me about sex, like it was just men and women having sex,
Right.
right? Like the Bible intended.
Right.
And nowadays it's just like limitless. And I don't
Right.
even know where to start to make it politically correct. Like, yeah, I don't, yeah. So I agree. I'm not, yeah, you're probably best to just not do it.
Just don't have, yeah,
You're probably
save my
best
money.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I was listening to somebody on a podcast talking about that, and they were like, yeah, you can't even really say that, like, oh, whenever you love a man enough, then this is how sex works, this thing goes in this thing. They were like, because that's not how it happens all the time anymore. And I was like, oh fuck, I didn't even think about that.
All
Like now I
right.
have to think about that. Like
Yeah.
because maybe that thing doesn't exist. They could be with somebody that doesn't have that thing that it's supposed to go in there. And it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Not that I'm not invalidating anybody of any identity ever. I love all beings,
Right.
but I'm not looking forward to those conversations because I don't know how to have them yet. Like nobody gave me those conversations, so I don't know how to have those conversations.
Right.
And then everybody has cell phones now, and then you're supposed to get your kid a cell phone. And my kid doesn't have a cell phone. He's
Yeah.
7, and I know that there are kids in his second grade class that have cell phones, and I just cannot. That's the end of that sentence. I cannot with these
Yeah, I
second graders.
cannot.
I cannot with these second graders that have cell phones.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like, I remember like when I was in high school, I had like a track phone and it only
yeah,
had like so many minutes, and like if you burnt up the minutes, you couldn't call your parents to come pick you up from school,
yeah. And yet you had to pay per text message with T9 word. I had a
Right.
Kyocera cricket phone. Like,
I had Snake Chase on my phone and I
yeah.
thought it was the coolest game ever.
I remember I remember listening to your iPod because I didn't have an iPod, but you had the old brick iPod.
Oh
and
yeah.
your screen was broken, but iPods back then only held like 200 songs. So you would
Right.
just like
It was
shuffle
like a
through.
shuffle, yeah.
Yeah.
A giant iPod shuffle.
And now it's like the technology is just disgustingly far. Do you watch Marvel movies at all, or do you not, are you not into the Marvel cinematic universe?
Yeah. I just finished up Loki, I think was the last thing that I saw
Well, I love
on
that
Disney
show.
Plus. Yeah, it was really good.
But our conversation was reminding me of in the Guardians of the, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he gets the Zune at the end. And they're like, oh, it holds 200 songs. This is what all the Americans are listening to. And it's a Zune. And
Right.
like nobody listened to Zune whenever it was a thing. And now it's not even a thing.
Right.
But that part always cracked me up. But yeah. So have you seen WandaVision?
Yeah, I saw WandaVision too.
I'm
That was
trying to
pretty
think of
good.
what else is newer. Like there was Black Widow. Did you see Black Widow?
Yeah, Black Widow was good.
And then there was Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi.
Haven't seen that one
And
yet.
then the Eternals, I think, is the newest one. I'm like a
Yeah.
huge. Was I a nerd in high school, or I don't know if I was a nerd in high school, if I developed that later. What's your perspective on that?
Um, I don't know. I guess you were a nerd. You were in a senior class when you were in 10th grade, so I think
That's
that's
true.
nerdy enough.
That's true. I guess I was. I think I've been that way since birth because my dad never let me do anything fun, so I just had to do nerdy shit. But I'm like a huge nerd. I get into all the Marvel movies, like Lord of the Rings and Hobbit are my shit. Somebody at work
Yeah.
was talking about their daughter possibly going to Australia for study abroad. And I was like, dude, I should have done that. I want to go see Middle Earth in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like,
Where Lord of the Rings was made, yeah.
yeah, they were like, I was like, dude, I would totally go to New Zealand. And they were like, why? What's in New Zealand? And I was like, Middle Earth, bro. Hobbit Town is still there. Like, you can go check it out. And they're like, oh my God, Jerri, you're ridiculous. But yeah, I know we're way off of weed at this point, but now I'm just curious about life stuff because I love talking to people about their life. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and Marvel's killing the game right now, so like,
it is. Yes. They make good stuff. Like, I know
Yeah.
they're a huge conglomerate and you should hate them because it's like Disney or whatever, but it's good movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
But right now I'm stuck on Peaky Blinders from Netflix. I'm just like a show whore. I don't know if you're like that. Do you just ingest entertainment at a high rate or no? Not so much.
Yeah, I feel like after the pandemic, like it's just like I'm just looking for something different, right? I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I get on Hulu or Netflix and I'm like, "Ah, I've seen everything already.
Yep.
Like, give me something different, you know?"
Yep. That's how I felt until Peaky Blinders just came up on the scroll while I was scrolling through Netflix. And I was like, whatever, I've seen everything else.
All right, guess I'll watch this.
And like, I am so deep. Did you see Squid Game?
No, I'm kind of like refusing to watch it because I don't want to crack to peer pressure, like
I get that. I've done
because
that before.
everybody's like, watch it, you gotta like
Yeah.
with Breaking Bad. Like I've never seen Breaking Bad all the way
I
through.
I watched it way later than everybody else. Breaking Bad, I didn't think was that good. I know the haters are gonna hate. They'll at me in the
Right,
comments, but I don't think Breaking Bad was that good.
right.
But I did watch it like years after it was a thing, and it was okay. But if I were to like, did you see Dexter?
So I only watched up to like the fourth or fifth season, which
Because I feel
everybody
like
tells me don't watch the rest of it.
it ended kind of shittily, but I think those two came out around the same time, and I think Dexter was far superior. But I'm to the point now where I'm like desensitized by stuff. Like a show really needs to have some over the top shit for me to like really catch interest, or else it's just like a background noise show at this point.
Yeah,
Because I've seen like Breaking Bad and Dexter, and I've seen up until, again, another spoiler alert, I've seen up until Glenn dies and Negan appears in The Walking Dead. And um I watched Game of Thrones and I watched The Handmaid's Tale, which I think is like the worst of the worst for sure.
really.
For me, I think Handmaid's Tale is the worst. Like, yes, there's incest in Game of Thrones, but as a woman in today's climate, Handmaid's Tale is a real nightmare. So, whenever I remember, whenever I started Peaky Blinders like 2 days ago, the first couple of episodes, I was like, I'm not in it. It'll just be background noise while I'm at work. But now it's like there's a lot of gore and a lot of stuff happening. But I feel
Yeah.
like I'm pretty desensitized from television. Like, it's gotten to a point where they've made it so extreme that it's like hard for me to get into it. I
Yeah, I get
like
that.
the Marvel series though because they're so intertwined and there's always like Easter eggs and like stuff to figure out. So that
Right.
part's fun,
Yeah.
even though they're not super gory because it's Disney. But yeah, what do you think your favorite show is right now at this point in time? Do you have like a favorite?
So like my go-to show is always King of the Hill. I don't know why,
That's
but
funny. I've
like I
never seen
love
that.
that show. Oh, it's like it's just ridiculousness. Like,
I know of it, but I've never sat down to watch it.
yeah, just a propane salesman in Texas trying to live his life.
I know all the memes with like the pocket sand and like that kind of stuff, but
And like the window, like the picture on the window with Bobby. But yeah, me and my girlfriend, we just started watching Superstore. That's a pretty good
yeah,
one. Have you seen that at all?
I saw the first couple seasons. I haven't kept up with it, but that
Yeah.
one is funny because I used to work retail, so it's very relatable.
Yeah, it's good. But here we were just having this conversation yesterday, like so all these like TV shows, right? They're like really good in the beginning because it's
Uh-huh.
just like random stuff, people doing crazy shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then like they start putting these like stories in, you know what I mean? Like these people are falling in love and then like it like carries on and you're like, no, I just want to see them do random shit in the store again. You know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
They try to add like too much drama almost.
Yeah, like Cheers. I've been watching Cheers now for the past couple months,
Oh, I
like
watched Cheers during the pandemic. I don't
here
know that
and
I
there.
finished it, but I watched most of it.
Yeah.
I I think that's where animated comedies win because it is just random stuff. There's never like a storyline of drama that you have to follow in animated comedies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like our whole family is really big on Bob's Burgers. Like even my 7-year-old watches it because in our house we swear and there's really nothing inappropriate in that show, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And it's just like a weird ass family doing weird ass shit in a burger joint every day. There's no like drama to follow. The kids never age. It's just like a safe space.
It's like feel good too, you know?
Yeah. And then like
Yeah.
Family Guy is similar. I was into Family Guy for a long time. Family Guy is just like no drama, but just like gimmicky jokes about other celebrities all day long. Like, but yeah, I don't know. So, what about, are you like a big concert goer or no?
I would like to, but I don't really go to as many as I want to, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I think I need to just start pulling the trigger, like I'm like, well, it's on a Thursday and like it's at 7 o'clock. I don't know what time I'll get home,
Yeah.
just becoming an
Yeah.
old man. Like, I just got to rebel against becoming old and just say, you know what? Do it. Go
Yeah,
see a
I feel
concert.
that. I think I was getting to that point until the pandemic hit, and then with quarantining, I missed it all so much that now I'm like I'm overcompensating and I go out a lot more for stuff like that. But I did see or I didn't see, but there was a couple years ago that my mom did an impromptu babysit where she was like, "Oh, I'll just take Jared for the night." And then it was like 9 o'clock. And my husband was like, "Oh, we should go out. We don't have a kid." And I was like, "It's 9 o'clock. Is anything open?" Like,
Yeah.
like young Jerri being like 19 or 20, like the party didn't start until 11 p.m. But now that
Right.
I'm old, I'm like, it's 9. I don't
It's
know,
already
but
9 o'clock. Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't even want to start a movie right now. It's so late. So like,
Right.
but yeah, I feel that for sure. So yeah, I don't know. I love going to concerts, but the pandemic really put a damper on shit. Oh, were you with this person that you're with now during the pandemic, or did you guys start like? I love hearing how couples did during pandemic. It's my favorite thing.
So we started dating July. So yeah, I mean, I guess sort of in the middle of the pandemic, we
Oh
started
man,
dating.
how did that go? Did you ask for negative COVID tests, or were you not worried about it?
We weren't really worried about it.
Okay,
Yeah. And like, I mean, we talked for a while, like on the phone, and then like we ended up like our first date was at a park, you know what I mean? Which
that's
was
cool.
pretty good,
You could be like open
outside.
air, some
Yeah,
distance,
like
yeah.
social distance. Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Because I watched like 4 divorces happen on Facebook through the pandemic. So that's why I like asking people like how it went. But dating during a pandemic would be so fascinating. First of
Well,
all, I have not dated anybody in like almost 8 years. So how does one meet another person these days? Is it truly just all online? Is that for real?
Yeah, so me and my girlfriend now we met on Tinder, you
Yeah,
know.
okay. That's what I've heard a lot. I
So,
just didn't know if
yeah.
that was like a real thing or not.
Yeah, like looking for, it's funny because it's like I always tell her like, was looking for a meaningful relationship on Tinder, and she's like, yeah, me too, So,
That's cool though.
but no, yeah, but like I don't know. I feel like I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that like it's like a lot of hooking up and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah, it is.
Tinder for girls is like a lot easier, because like every guy's just gonna be like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm gonna swipe every girl I can. You know what I
Oh, is that
mean?
a thing? Okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
like swipe left or right.
I know that you swipe left, but so guys just say yes to all. They never swipe no. They're always swiping yes.
I mean, I think so, right,
I don't
guys?
know. So I've never been on Tinder as a single lady because that was after I started dating my husband. But me and a friend got drunk one night and made a fake Tinder to judge people while we were swiping. And we used like an old lady from Google as our profile picture just so we could just like swipe and judge people while we were really really drunk. But that old lady pic got like a lot of creepy dudes in the DMs.
Oh, really?
But I did, yeah, I guess I don't know the ins and outs of the culture, like women being more picky than men, but that is fascinating. That makes sense.
Well, what was weird is like when you would see like somebody. So like whenever I like was on Tinder, I would see like people I worked with or something on Tinder, and it was like kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, do I say something about this? Like, do I try to swipe and like just see what happens? Am I gonna be in like the HR office?
Oh my god, I wouldn't be able to handle the anxiety for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to like date online for too long. You know what I mean? Because it's
That's
just
good.
I don't know,
All
especially
right,
like with the pandemic and stuff.
definitely. Are you guys close in age or far in age? This came up in my brother's podcast that I recorded the other night.
So she's 38, so we're about 6 years
Oh,
apart,
she's
which
older. How
yeah,
interesting. Okay, very
which
cool.
is
I
weird because
mad respect for
she's
that.
she's the first older girl that I've ever dated. Like every other girl I've dated was younger than me. Not
Yeah,
not
I
much, but
I've exclusively dated people older than me. I fucked around once with a guy that was like a year younger than me, and I was like, oh, this is too much. So
yeah.
it's always been older. My husband,
It's
right?
funny.
I say my husband right now, like he's gonna be some other age, some other time. But my husband is almost 13 years older than me, 12 and a half years older than me.
Okay, yeah, it's
But
pretty
yeah, so
good.
my brother Randy, who again I don't know that you ever met him because he was in the military.
Mhm.
So he's dating somebody he's married to somebody that's my age. She's a year younger than me. So my brother Randy's 37 and she's like 28.
Oh
So he
wow.
asked me while we were recording if like our age difference gets in the way. So does your I guess especially since she's older than you in society, not that I feel this way. I don't judge anybody.
Right.
But do you guys feel like you're judged a certain way since she's the older one or since there is an age gap?
I don't think so, because I don't know that like it's funny because we were talking about it a couple nights ago, and we said like, so when she graduated high school,
Uh-huh.
I was in sixth grade, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you could just imagine like
Yeah.
that scenario, right? Can you imagine a high school senior dating a sixth grader? Like people would
Yeah.
be in jail, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like nobody would
Whenever
let.
my husband graduated high school, I was 6. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
right.
pretty weird.
Yeah. So like you think about it, but then like I don't know, I think like as we get older, it's kind of like, oh, like age is just kind of a thing. And I feel like once you mature, then it's not so much of a thing. Where I feel like she's
Yeah,
matured and I am matured, not as matured as her, um
it's
but yeah.
we still follow the rule from Parks and Rec where you have to cut your age in half and add 7. So we still fit in that guideline. So me and him are cool with it. And that I don't know how they came up with that on Parks and Rec, but Aziz said that in the show Parks and Rec, and it ends up working because I'm a math nerd. So it ends up working out because the younger you are, the closer you have to be in age until
Yeah.
you're 14. Because if you're 14, then the person that you can have sex with has to be 14. And if you're
Okay.
15, the person that you have sex with is like 14 and a half. So, but then if you're 80, the person you can date is like 47. So It's a
It's not
really cool,
bad for an
it's a
80-year-old.
it's a really cool like algorithm that they came up with on that show. So we fit into that description, funnily enough. But yeah, I think as you get older, the age matters less and less, even though it is kind of weird to think about in the terms of like high school. So
I think
the person you got lucky enough to meet somebody that's older than you in Pittsburgh that has no kids.
she does have a kid.
Okay, okay. I'm
Yeah,
not
so
judging. I was just curious because
she
like all the
has,
people that we went to high school with have kids. That's why I was like,
yeah.
whoa, how did that happen?
No, so she has a 20-year-old daughter. So
Okay, very cool, very cool. Well, I
yeah.
guess that's easier, right? Like I would imagine that would be easier than like a small child.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to change diapers or anything, so that's a plus.
Yeah, for sure. Like so I met my husband while I was pregnant. So technically he's the stepdad of my first son, but my son doesn't see it that way. So
Right.
my son doesn't know his biological father because his biological father like doesn't exist. Um he does, but it's the whole thing. So
But he doesn't.
he does, but like not in our world. He doesn't. He chose that
Right.
life. So my son only knows like my husband as his dad. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So she's like done and out of the way, right?
No, no, still living at home. So
In this economy, no way, Jerri. That
I
kid's living there
know,
forever.
yeah. Nobody can buy a house at this price.
The
But
only
I
way I
do,
was able to buy a house was buying a house with my mom. So I get it. Struggle
yeah.
is real.
And I do feel for her because like it is tough, you know what I mean, in
Yeah,
today's world. But,
for
yeah,
sure.
no,
That's pretty cool though. Yeah,
she's good though. She's kind of does her own thing. We do our own thing. Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm super happy for you.
Yeah, I'm happy too. Like I said, I feel like I found that one. So
I've been dying to ask you what the painting above you is the chemical compound of.
it is oxytocin.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. It's a
I have
cuddle. It's the cuddle
yeah,
chemical.
I was gonna say it looks like one of my coffee mugs, and now I know that it is. I have a coffee mug with oxytocin on it
Nice.
because that's the hormone that's released while you're breastfeeding. So in
Yeah.
case you ever need to know that.
Well, that's not why I have it on my wall, but
You mean to tell me you're not breastfeeding right now?
yeah, no,
That's
not right
how
now. When I
weird.
got the painting, I was for a short period, but that's
So
that's a
yeah,
whole nother podcast. Yeah.
I was going to assume that it was like the THC one because I have a lot of friends that have that tattooed on them, like the THC chemical compound. But I was like,
Yeah.
that looks like my mug. But I was wondering in my head, like, why you would have an oxytocin mug chemical compound behind you. But that makes sense now. Because it is just the good feeling cuddle hormone. I guess it's not only for breastfeeding. So,
Right. It's most associated with breastfeeding.
before I get into the Instagram questions, just because I dated you for a while, how is your family doing good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's doing good. Everybody's healthy.
that's cool.
Uh, we lost my grandfather about a year ago
Oh,
from
I'm sorry to hear
COVID.
that.
Yeah, so
My papa got COVID, which is my mom's dad, who I'm named after. He had COVID and he was in the hospital for like 3 months and somehow he survived. I'm gonna knock on wood for that. But so he's back in his apartment. But yeah, sorry
yeah.
about your grandpa.
No, it's okay. It's like the older you get, the more people you know start dying, and then you're like, oh shit.
It's
I
true.
better start living my life.
Yeah, somebody from my grade in high school passed away from cancer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got like a call from a random well, it's I mean, we both know this person. It's my cousin that I went to high school with. But she called me and was like, "Oh yeah, so and so died of cancer." And I was like, "Oh no, that's so sad." But honestly, I didn't know who she was talking about at first
Hmm.
because I don't remember people from high school. Like I remember faces more than names. So then I had to go on Facebook and search that person to see what they look like. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's sad. Like, and it's weird just to think that I'm 29 and somebody that I went to high school with died of cancer. So that's sad. But
Yeah.
you know, I
Such
guess
is life, right?
I guess so. so before because it's like 8:03 now, so I'll let you go. But we're gonna do Instagram questions if that's cool with you.
Yeah, sure, certainly.
I only have three, so you're lucky. My brother and my
Yes.
sister each had like five. And if you don't want to answer them, you can just pass.
Okay.
But one of them was really funny because somebody was like, this is literally what I would ask my ex. And it's, why are you so stupid? And I think that's just a hilarious question. I don't think you're stupid. I just thought that was funny to say out loud for that person that asked. But
Yeah. I don't know why their boyfriends or their exes are so
I
stupid.
don't know either. I love
Guys
that
be
you guessed
stupid,
boyfriend
you
and
know?
you were like, right. I love that. Intuitively you knew it was a boyfriend and I love that. So and then the other ones are like no, they're just weird, but it's fine. So I'm just gonna ask them anyways. And
Okay.
so the other one is so there's two more. The first one is with our relationship specifically, would you have done anything differently or what would you have done differently?
I don't know. I don't think I would have done anything differently because, like, I mean,
Really? Okay.
I think we had a pretty good relationship, up until the end.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was
but
my fault. Like I was the bad guy for sure.
were
I'm
you?
self-aware. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I for sure I'm pretty sure I remember initiating like the ending of it. So
yeah. I don't know. It was so long ago, but yeah, no. I
it
mean,
was.
I
It was.
I think we had fun. Like, I mean, like we went to a lot of dances together and stuff,
We did.
and like
I still have pictures from our formal dances.
yeah. So like I always used to say like I believed in meeting the right people at the wrong time in life. But then like the older I get, I really do think you meet the right people at the right time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
as you're going through life, like at
Yeah.
that time it doesn't seem like the right time, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think to get to where you are, you gotta go through what you gotta go through, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, I don't think it was bad at all. Actually, you're probably the only relationship I had that wasn't bad. I was in a lot of toxic relationships or like friends with benefit situations. But I was like 17 and wanted to know what every single person was like in bed. So I couldn't stay with one person. So that's why I mean, like, I'm self aware. Like, I knew that it was my thing and not yours. But yeah, I considered it a good one, but I appreciate that you said you wouldn't do anything differently. Um, and I think somebody was feeling sad whenever they were asking this question, but
Oh man, are we gonna get into like some Drake feels or something like that?
yeah, so the last question was, do you miss me?
Uh, I don't know. It's been so long, like I mean, I don't I miss the memories, I guess, like I
Yeah,
mean, we had very fond memories, like
yeah,
when you asked me to be on the show, I was thinking back and I mean,
yeah.
like I said, it was a good time.
Yeah, I don't think I think this person is probably thinking of a much more recent relationship
Yeah.
and they're probably set because for me, yeah, I feel nostalgic about it. There was a lot of firsts for sure on my end, and I'm pretty sure on yours, or at least half firsts,
Yeah.
because we were so young. So yeah, I guess I miss the feeling of all the newness. But for like you, I don't think anything badly about you personally, but I don't feel like I miss that relationship. I was a whole different person.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, so like we were
Yeah.
talking, we've changed a lot
Yeah, I was
in
a whole
14
like a whole
years,
different person. It would not
Like
be
it's
even
almost comical thinking about it, like who I was that long ago, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I have literally become the exact opposite of the person I ever said I was going to be at that age. So like that person was very prejudiced and hated anybody that smoked weed and yeah, I never really like wanted kids. Did not want to work in an office for the rest of my life and here I am working in an office married with kids in a minivan and smokes weed. So,
Smoking weed.
yeah. So I'm
So
just
maybe
like
it's a good thing we didn't make it together because we would have just been married with kids not smoking weed, you know?
sometimes I think yeah, so it's not sometimes but it's like recently since we like reconnected again because we talked like a couple years ago before I was married
Hmm.
but still in California. And I think like since I texted you about the podcast, I was thinking like, fuck, what would have my life had been like if we would have stayed like high school sweethearts, got married, and I would just be in Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like for me? I think if that would have in the nicest way possible, because again, I don't hate you, I have love for you, but
Oh
I think
man.
for me, at this, if we were to get married right after high school and do the Pittsburgh thing where we have kids and you just go to work, we would end up hating each other and resenting each other, and there'd probably be a divorce going on soon.
Yeah, I'd probably say that, And like
Yeah.
I would say, not so much speaking as us as people, but just like not having that opportunity to like grow, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to get out there and see stuff and do
Neither one of us would
stuff.
probably ever find weed, or one of us would and the
Yeah.
other one would be against it, just on like
Yeah.
that basis
Right.
alone. But yeah, and then I just think about the idea of getting like in a relationship that young and being like I got married at 25 and everybody thought I was too young to get married at 25, so I can't even imagine being in a relationship that's so committed before then. It is pretty weird
Yeah.
to think about, because I don't think that I was mentally together until 27 whenever I went to therapy. Like, so I feel like something similar would have happened and I would have gone to therapy and then I would have been like, oh, we need to get a divorce.
Oh yeah, this isn't
I'm
working.
finally finding myself and I gotta
I,
go.
I realized who I am, and it's not your wife.
Like, I don't know. That's just what I imagine happening. And the more I read about it, the more that I learn that our frontal lobes like aren't even done growing and like developing until we're in our 20s. So it still is, I guess, kind of crazy to think that I had kids and got married all before the age of 25. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're a different person now than you were like in your 20s? Like early 20s?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, like I too drank like a lot, you know, for a extended period of time. Like I don't want to say like a ton. Like I wasn't drinking like every day, but like when I drank, like I drank, you know.
Yeah.
So which like now, I mean, I hardly drink anymore, you know,
Yep.
because like we said, the hangovers and everything like that. But
Yep. I drank every day. Like I had competitions to see how long I could go without taking a break for drinking on a daily basis. It was I recently listened to, I think it was the What the Fuck podcast with Mark Maron, and he had Marilyn Manson on there. And Marilyn Manson talked about not knowing the difference between a party and a problem. And I loved that line. I remembered it so much because once I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh, this party's turned into a problem. Like I've really let it go too far.
right.
Like I don't even know what's going on in life. I don't have anything together. And then I just got it together super quickly and just overcompensated. But
Yeah. Well, that's like in retrospect, I wish I would have figured it out earlier because I'm like, I would have been so much better off now. You know what I mean? But
well, that's what my husband tells me whenever I was so apprehensive about going to therapy because of um I guess like the society that I was brought up in, or maybe the culture that I was brought up in, was like only crazy people go to therapy and like just don't do it. It's really bad. And so whenever I finally like was having a full blown like breakdown and my husband was like, maybe you should do therapy, I was like, no, what if they like take my kids away or something, right? And then he was like, no, that won't happen, like stop being dumb. And he was like, literally, if I would have gone to therapy, it would have saved me like 15 years of agony, so you should just go.
yeah,
Like luckily, I guess that's like one of the positives of him being older, because he was able to say that.
right.
But
Yeah, I think there's definitely a stigma, you know what I mean,
yeah,
on mental health.
have you
But
ever been to therapy?
I have, yeah,
That's
like
really cool. I
in
don't
and
know a
out.
lot of people that go. That's why
So
I
I
like to
think
ask.
when I first went to therapy, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be one of those people who's like in therapy like their whole
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then you realize that like for me at least, like going to therapy is like going to the gym, right? Like 1 month I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling out of shape, you
Yep.
know. Go to the
Yep.
gym. And then I go for like a month or two and then I'm like, I feel good, I feel energized, and then you
Yep.
kind of stop, you know, and then like reset yourself. But yeah, I'm a full advocate of therapy. Like, I think just having somebody who's like doesn't judge, who you could
Yeah.
just tell anything to is like
Yep.
powerful.
And somebody that's not close to you, because my whole life I use my sister as my therapist, but she's really close to me, so she always takes my side out of instinct. She's like, oh, this is my sister, I need to protect you, like Michelle. So and then it became my husband was my therapist until he got to the point where he was like, we have kids and like a whole household to run, I can't be your therapist as well, like that you need professional help in the
Right.
nicest way possible. But yeah, I did therapy for like 6 months right after, not right after, but a couple years after I got married. And then now I've been thinking about looking into one of those like online resources where you can do virtual therapy, just so I can hide in my garage like I am now. I don't
Yeah.
have to like go to a place. Um, but yeah, I feel the same way about the gym thing because I've been feeling pretty good since I quit therapy. There's been a couple of times where I've thought like, oh, maybe I want to go back just to vent about this. But then like recently I had a friend commit suicide and I was like, oof, I think I really wish I had the like availability, or I wish I had a therapist on call right now. So that's why I'm like thinking about the online thing. But I don't want to text people. Like, did you know this was a thing? You can just like sign up for these free apps and like text a therapist. I don't know if that's real, and it's kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
would,
the hard part too is like that's what I always tell people about therapy is like, it's almost like dating in a way that like
yeah,
there's so many therapists out there and each therapist has a different method of like how
yeah,
they do stuff. So like I think I've known people who have gone to therapy and they're like, "Oh, it's not for me." And I'm like, "Well, maybe you just didn't get the right therapist, because like I've had
yeah,
therapists that were amazing and then I had others that were like, "Oh, I can't help you. You're just telling me daily events." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Because like I'm telling you how these daily events make me feel,
yeah, yeah,
It could make me better."
yeah.
But
Yeah, I feel that. It definitely is like dating. And that's why I've thought about trying the online ones where you can like at least video chat with somebody and get like a feel for who they are, just so I don't have to drive and waste gas or time and stuff like that. Especially because like I know we're talking about being advocates for therapists, but I don't want to ask my employer for time off to go to therapy.
yeah,
I'm not like comfortable with that yet. So
right.
especially because I'm newer. Maybe if I was there for a few years, I'd be like, yeah, Fridays at 4, I gotta go because I gotta go see Jane the therapist.
Right.
But for now, since I'm new, I don't want them to be like, oh shit, we hired a crazy lady 6 months ago and now we gotta get rid of her. So like
Yeah, I
but
did I
yeah.
did the video like therapy. It was
Did you
pretty.
like it? Was it cool?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty similar. Like, I liked being in my house. Like, I felt more comfortable
Yeah.
talking about stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what I thought about too, because whenever I would go see I can't like sit like a normal person. I'm constantly like sitting on my own feet and all this other stuff. And I felt like I couldn't do that in my therapist's office. I felt like I had to like sit very properly and my hands folded
Right.
because it's like not my place. So I don't want to put my feet on their couch and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was going to tell you that my dad does listen to my podcast. So if you ever wanted to say hi to him, this is probably your one and only chance. I remember you wanting to get invited to the wedding so you could hang out with Mr. fucking Richardson, as he likes to
Yeah.
call
Can I
himself.
tell a story about what he told me to call him when we were dating?
Of course. If he gets mad, it's fine. He's already mad at
Yeah.
me for this podcast, so it's fine.
So he told me, he said, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Seth. Nice to meet you." He goes, "Hi, Seth. My friends call me Randy, but you can call me Mr. fucking Richardson." And I was like, "All right, Mr. fucking Richardson." So, hi, Mr. fucking Richardson.
But then at the same time, if you swear in front of him, he thinks it's like totally disrespectful. He hates whenever his kids swear in front of him. It's so ridiculous. So but yeah, I think you definitely went through the shit because you were the first guy that had to like meet my dad. After that, it was it wasn't smooth sailing. They still got shit, but after that, none of them were like serious. So he
Yeah.
didn't like take them seriously. And I was older. So but yeah, you definitely had to go through this shit with Randy fucking Richardson, that's for
We
sure.
had fun, though. Worked on some cars together, me and him.
I remember you like he was trying to teach you how to weld in his garage or something, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
My dad lives in Delaware now, if you didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yep. He moved to Delaware like in 2017, I think. It was like the year that I got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, he moved to Delaware. But yeah, so then like I'm gonna have my sister Kara on here. She's my stepsister technically. I want to talk to her about voting in the 2020 election as like a fresh voter because she was only 19.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that you knew like you're one of the few ex-boyfriends that actually know my family because there were so many that didn't really get to see them in their whole glory. We'll
Yeah.
call it. And yeah, and then you also are one of the few people that I'm talking to that knew me like pre-therapy with all the childhood trauma bullshit.
Yeah.
Like we basically met soon after my house caught on fire. I think
Pretty
that's fucking
much.
trippy.
Yeah.
I
That's
tell
crazy.
people that like for me, like that was so long ago. I'm not actively grieving over my house burning down. It's just a timestamp for me now. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened after my house fire or before my house fire.
Right.
Right. So that's
Yeah.
like a childhood landmark. And then
Yeah.
people hear that and they're like, oh my God, your house burned down. Like, and then some people don't even think it's real. Some people think I like made it up. And I'm like, no, it burned to the ground. It's not there.
Yeah. Like, why would I lie about that?
But yeah, I like, and we lived in that tiny ass little white house and we played like what was it called, guitar hero in the basement.
Yeah, with the popcorn
Guitar,
machine.
yeah, oh I forgot we had a popcorn machine, but yeah, I remember
Yeah.
guitar hero parties being the shit. Everybody brought guitar hero in for like the last week of school, and like it was just guitar hero fest for like 2 years. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, we played a lot of Guitar Hero. Like everybody did back
Yeah, it was just
then. Like it's all you did.
a global thing. Do you
Right.
remember one of the only professors I still remember to this day is Miss Phelps. I'll name drop her, I don't care, she'll never
Yeah,
listen to this.
that was environmental science. That was the
Yeah.
class we were in.
Yeah, I still remember Miss Phelps. I feel like she was the most realist teacher. Like,
Yeah. She was just like, you guys need to shut the fuck up. Like, not
yeah,
that exactly, but
yeah, almost, yeah.
yeah, she wasn't taking nobody's bullshit,
Yeah. Like she seemed like the teacher that is in the movies that just shows up and is like hungover and sick of everyone's shit already. I
Right.
remember like grading papers for her during like study halls, and she would just eat those lifesaver mints, and we would grade papers, and she would talk shit about everybody. Like,
It's so crazy though as an adult now, right? It's
yeah,
weird to think that like teachers, they're just normal people like we
yeah,
were. They were going to the bars on the weekends,
yeah.
like as kids you think they're like above or like, they don't
Some
have
weird
life.
robots and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, they have lives too.
You were the one that always said life's like a burrito, spice it up, right?
Yeah, that was my saying.
I remember my high school class president said that in his speech whenever we graduated.
Oh man, I gotta grab him for copyright infringement. Huh.
I remember graduating being atrocious. I hated graduation. It was hot. It was miserable. It went on forever and ever and ever. But I remember that guy having like one of the realest speeches and was like, yeah, this class pretty much hates each other and we'll probably not have a 10-year reunion, but life's like a burrito, spice it up.
Oh my goodness.
It's funny because it's true. We never did your class have a high school reunion for your
I
10-year?
think a couple people planned something, but
That's funny.
I don't know. I didn't go. I should have gone. I was like the class president, so I think I was the one who was supposed to plan it.
As far as I know, nothing was planned. I wasn't friends with like a ton of people on Facebook at the time, but I was friends with enough that I should have heard about it. And my 10-year reunion should have been in 2020. So I'm pretty sure we didn't do anything and we're not going to.
Yeah, I think mine would have been 2018. So
Yeah. It's weird, right?
that was a long time ago. And that was 10 years, so high school was even longer ago than that.
Yup. Yup. Have you ever seen the movie Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Where he like I'm not as nowhere near as attractive as Ryan Reynolds, but I feel like that guy because I hated that town. They were so mean to me and I left and I went to California and I've never looked back.
Singing like, I swear.
But yeah, I still love Shaun of the Dead. You were for sure the first person that ever showed me Shaun of the Dead. Well, so my dad did not know how to raise girls. I'll just preface that.
Yeah.
And he kept my brothers like to say I was on house arrest. I was never allowed to leave my house or do anything. So you were like the first person that introduced me to everything, like music and movies. But I remember watching Shaun of the Dead at your mom's house and being like, what the fuck is this movie? This is amazing. And it's still like, what's his name? What's the guy in that movie? Because he did like 3 movies. There was Shaun of the
Yeah,
Dead.
not Nick Frost.
It starts with a P, something with a P.
Simon.
Yeah, Simon
something?
Pegg.
Simon Pegg.
So I love all of his movies now, like Hot Fuzz and
Oh,
like
yeah.
At World's, or not At World's End, but what was it called? I don't know. He had a third one, but I love all of those movies. And I remember that being like the first movie that got me into British humor. I'm just being nostalgic now. We can end
Shaun
it.
of the Dead. Oh.
But Shaun of the Dead is so good. It was
That
like
is
the
a good
girl in the
one.
garden and like you got red on you. Like it's just
In
like
the garden, there's a girl.
one of the best.
Yeah.
That's one of the best. How's your older brother?
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of hanging out.
Yeah. I know he went to college, right? He finished and everything. He did like the whole bit, right?
No, he didn't. So he went away and then he went to the Art Institute and it was like
I went to the Art Institute
just
for a minute. That's
shit.
funny.
Yeah. Like he said, the professors were like, "You're never gonna make it in the art
Yeah.
world," and he's like, "I'm not trying to make it. Like, I just want a
Yeah.
degree in art, you know."
Yep. I feel like all of them were the cliche professor where they come in looking like a bum and they just like ramble on forever. And
Yeah.
like they all talk about how you're not going to make it because it's the art industry.
And he
I
said
went
too, you
there.
had to like spend like hundreds of dollars on like paint and
Oh
easels
God.
and stuff like that. Like just
I went there for 2 semesters, two, and I still owe them $2,000 in
yeah.
student loans.
Well, they
It's
shut
rough.
down, so I think you beat them. You won.
It's still on my thing that I have to pay them. But yeah, my sister said that she Googled it because she forgot that I went to the Art Institute. And yeah, it was fun while I was there, but I soon realized that I decided to go to art school just to go to college and to say like fuck you to my parents.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the best idea. But it was fun. I mean, art kids know how to party.
Right. Yeah.
I
That's
remember
like
sitting in
Cal
like
U for me.
yeah, I remember sitting in like my first nude model drawing class and like everyone's trying not to giggle because they're all like 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's just like a naked dude and a naked lady standing there and you have to draw them. But
See, I
yeah,
don't think I could do it.
it's interesting. I think now as a 29-year-old I could look at a naked person and not care about it. But at like 19, it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah. It's like I have a friend, she's always like, "Oh, college is a scam." I'm like, "Yeah, it is a scam, but you have to like play by the rules too, you know what I mean?" Like,
No, I think it totally is. I think there's ways to make it less scammy. Like I did community college and then I went to state college, so I did a very cheap route and
yeah.
I got my 2 to 4 years of, I don't know how long I was in community college, forever. My community college was totally paid for because I had a kid and I was poor. And then for my state college, my California State University, I only have like 9 or 10,000 in student loans. It could have been like 30 to 60,000, but I got enough grants to pay for it and scholarships and whatnot. So yeah, I think like the general idea of college is a scam, but I think there's
Right.
ways around it or ways to do it cheaply for sure. I did like a whole soapbox about college while I was talking to Michelle. So because
Yeah.
she's in college right now at Penn State. So which I think is like one of the most expensive colleges in the country. But I think she's getting through without too much debt because she has a kid too. So,
That's good.
but let's yeah, the kid thing again.
Yeah.
It's like a
Maybe I
5 out of 10.
should have a kid. I don't know. You changed my mind. I do want to finish my degree.
I mean I guess some of the benefits are cool. You get like
Yeah.
the tax credits at the end. Eh,
Yeah.
maybe just get a dog. They're better, honestly.
All right. Sounds good.
They're more loyal than kids. They don't talk back.
Right.
They're better long term for sure. Well, they die sooner, but other than that, they're better long term.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm gonna stop recording. Thank
Okay.
you again for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You don't have to hang up right away. I'm just gonna stop the recording though.
Sounds
So
good.
okay, bye.
Bye.